When we're in a delta or theta brainwave state, a deep sleep state, restorative state, lucid dreaming, where you get that rapid eye movement, our brainwaves are about 1 or below 1 to 8 hertz or waves per second. The healing pulse of the earth, the Schumann resonance of the earth, is known to be about 7.83 hertz or waves per second. We rev literally one with the universe. We are one with the universe. And when we introduce a non-native, one-directional, polarizing waveform into our environment, it disrupts everything. Your endocrine system, so you're not sleeping, you're calcifying your pineal gland, you're not connecting the body.
Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode. Today's podcast coming to you from SoFi Stadium. We have a fantastic guest, but first of all, let's introduce our co-host, David Meltzer. Thank you so much for being here.
This is the start of something great. We're going to have our own show, our own podcast. You're going to see it everywhere. I'm just doing some background work right now to get this thing to the level of amplification that it needs, because I can't tell you two better people. I do thousands of interviews, as you know, and I've been dreaming of the day that Shawn and Lacey have a show with me. And so to start off and launch this here at SoFi could not be better.
Dreams do come true, David.
If you hang out with Lacey, that's for sure. Just ask Shawn.
Well, I'm super excited for you to meet today's guest. I had an opportunity to talk to him, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. You've got to come out to SoFi. We need to talk about this.
Really, I need to talk about this.
You need to talk about it, but it's your area of passion and interest as well. Performance coach, Justin Frandson, thank you so much for joining us.
Dr. Shawn, thanks for having me on.
Super excited you have this concept. I want to start, I know it's not the concept, but I've got to start the area that everybody's like, wait, he can help with this? Let's talk sleep. We were talking about all of the things that, you know, today's society struggles with sleep, and you have become an expert, very knowledgeable in the things that might be keeping us from getting the restful sleep that we need to recover every day. Tell us what you have learned in that field.
Definitely. Well, I was first talking with Joel Evan, one of your clients, and that's where we came about. So thank you for that introduction. And it's been working with athletes where I kind of stumbled across this whole what is our environment and how does it affect us question. And over a dozen years ago, one of our professional athletes came in wearing a smartwatch. And he said, Justin, I have pain on my wrist. And I said, where? And he said, right where the watch is. And I said, well, take the radiation off your wrist. And he took it off and the pain went away. And that was the aha moment for me where I wanted to help people understand about our environment. And that was about the time the Fitbits were being recalled. So I had some previous knowledge of it. But that's what got me into starting with our EMFrocks.com grounding bags. And we're selling them through doctor clinics as like one of the leading natural EMF protection. And what they do is they create that coherence between us and our environment. We're sleeping so you can get into a deeper sleep state.
Go ahead.
Well, to say a lot of people, I mean, I have always struggled with sleep. And so this is one of my favorite topics. I was an insomniac for a very long time. I kind of told you offline. I used to sleep 4 hours a night, max. And now I still struggle getting into deep sleep. And I'm a doctor. I know how important it is for your body to go into that parasympathetic mode, into that rest and digest so you can truly heal. Most people just associate it with energy and how they feel, but all of your body's synchronicities and mechanisms happen while you sleep. And so I know how this can impact people on an emotional level, a health level, a physical level. But it was interesting because you said this is the number one thing you saw most disrupted from EMFs and all of those things that athletes were using. And so how did that come about, that piece of it specifically?
Well, it's basically understanding us and our environment. And when you understand we're an athlete, when their brainwave states in an alpha brainwave state, when they're in the zone and they can't miss, that's 8 to 13 hertz or waves per second. So I'm going to convert everything into a wave per second. And this is what brought me to it. When we're in a delta or theta brainwave state, a deep sleep state, restorative state, lucid dreaming, where you get that rapid eye movement, our brainwaves are about 1 or below 1 to 8 hertz or waves per second. The healing pulse of the earth, the Schumann resonance of the earth, is known to be about 7.83 hertz or waves per second. We rev literally one with the universe. We are one with the universe. And when we introduce a non-native, one-directional, polarizing waveform into our environment, it disrupts everything, your endocrine system. So you're not sleeping, you're calcifying your pineal gland, you're not connecting to God. It destructures your water at 2.45 gigahertz, so you're being dehydrated. You're seeing epidemics of dehydration. So that all leads to just a crappy night's sleep where your brain goes into literally a twilight sleep, and it tries to figure out those bandwidths that are pinging it.
You're speaking my language, which is why for 17 years I've had a sleep coach. But I see things, I'm the only non-doctor here, but I see things just in the data or information side. You said something that's critical, is that if we are all one in synchronicity, coinciding with everything, for me, sleep is the best time to receive information that is best suited for our progress, our happiness, all of the peace and ease that is our actual stable baseline of life. And so many people don't understand that. Recovery, I think a lot of people, when they go to bed, they want to recover. But I'm more interested in, because of the experiences I've had, in the information that we receive. And that information has made an exponential capability in my life that has allowed me to do things during the day, because a third of my life I'm superior at. I joke around. I used to want to be one of your clients. I wanted to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and work with guys. But that performance doesn't interest me at all anymore. I want to be in the Sleep Hall of Fame. I want to be known. That guy recovers better than anyone, but even more importantly, the information that he receives at ease has facilitated an extraordinary amount of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude at its basic level. Non-PhD, non-business school, Justin, when I talk about receiving information, in your understanding, what does that actually mean, so I can help describe that to people who want to sleep better? That I actually believe everybody gets recovery, but I'm not sure I can articulate or I even fully understand the awareness and information I'm receiving while I'm sleeping.
Well, it's simple for me, and especially with doctors involved, and you guys mentor people, it's connecting them to the infinite flow of the universe so they can receive abundance of love and light and gratitude and more, and stay in that flow state.
And it is the zone, right? It is
Exactly.
everything's working in your favor without you. You're intentional, but you're not physically trying to do it, right? You could throw up a ball, and people have done this in golf, right? I've actually been in the flow where I've hit, and I putted a ball, and my mind said shit, and it went in. Or you like swung and drove, and then you look up and you're like, oh my God, that was a great drive.
Yeah.
That's the flow, but you can do that in life as well.
Definitely.
Let's talk about the interferences. It's impossible to get away from them. I mean, Dave's cell phone's affecting me, her phone, all of the, and then you were saying, like, if we're wearing a device, like, so that, like, being at one with our environment, when our environment is not optimal. Talk to me about that, because
Great question.
do I change is the goal to change my environment? What do I do in that case?
Well, there's a few different things. First, you got to understand what the stressors are, identify them, develop proximity protocols to them. There's absorption rating. So if you're a little further away, not as challenging. Make sure it's not a directed weapon right at you. And there's great knowledge from Dr. Mercola, who wrote a book called EMFs. But his solution is to sleep in a Faraday tent. If I told my wife, honey, we're sleeping in this Faraday tent, she'd be like, no, you are. You're outside with the dog. So the idea is to create a coherence with it when we're using this technology. So for us, the protocols are at home. When you're sleeping, like you've done, Lacey, is to get your home and the resonance in your bedrooms as low and slow and as close to nature as you can. And then any extraneous signals, you want to use the EMF rocks, the grounding bags, to create that coherence, because we're bringing nature's resonance into your environment to convert those one-directional waveforms so they're more unpolarized. And that's the framework of us and our universe. They're scalar waves. They're unpolarized waveforms. That is, every living resonance has an unpolarized waveform. If I drop a pebble in a pond, it goes in a splash, distributes equally in every direction. It's not a straight line. That's the difference between us and this non-native stuff.
Well-
That's what I thought Shawn and Lacey did in their house. I thought they had hooked up their microwave
Yes.
to the music, the
That's
calming
right. And then
music.
that's how we woke you up every day that you were sitting there.
It was just timing, though. I was mistaken.
But I think it's important to define terms right now, because there's a lot of people listening that may be thinking, EMF, what has EMFs, what are those, and how are they actually impacting me? And now I know what EMFs are, but how would you on a basic level explain that to somebody so they can understand how that can be interrupting and interfering with their sleep environment?
Definitely. So Lacey, I would say everyone go look at the book and purchase The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. Have you read it?
I have. I thought we had athleticism.
I was ready with that.
That's if you
Read
wanna
that
be-
book.
That's if you want to be an
That's
athlete. The Grounded by Nature one in your bag is good too. But The Invisible Rainbow is the history of electricity and life. And so it's an incredible book, but it categorizes basically how we're adapting to our environment. So before 1889, and we introduced electricity into the homes, they called the flu because it would fly in and fly out with solar flares, cosmic shifts, atmospheric pressure shifts in our environment, natural changes in our environment. Our bodies would adapt to it. After we introduced electricity, the flu was here to stay, and then every major electrification in our electromagnetic blanket of an atmosphere, 1918 Spanish flu, World War II radar, Hong Kong flu satellites, and then the last several years, everyone knows, 5G rollout, our bodies are adapting to that stressor.
So it's kind of like, I mean, what you talk about, everything has a frequency and a vibration, right? And I
Yes.
wonder if these electromagnetic frequencies are at a different vibration that interfere with our body's ability to adapt to its environment at a rate that keeps us healthy.
Well, they're faster. The non-native ones are faster and one directional.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference. There's a 10-0 plus delta between what we rev at when we sleep rev and optimize to what they're revving at. So that's where the disruption comes in.
And one of the other things that I believe to be true is that we are in the flow at all times.
Yeah.
And so being aware of not even what we're doing to interfere, the fear part, but our reaction to it. Because we're all individually part and parcel to the whole, but we're all individually different as we're part and parcel to the whole. And I believe time is the dependent variable that people understand other than space, which I can still understand or articulate. So if I stay within the context of time, if I'm elevating my awareness to a Fitbit watch that is causing interference to my flow, then it would seem to be that if I can minimize the amount of time that I use the watch or wore the watch, that I could maximize the amount of time that I spent in the flow, which is part in construct to the grounding bag, which I thought was a brownie bag. I was trying to eat it.
Must be
but
hungry.
more importantly, is time, am I helping people by utilizing time as a dependent variable of, look, you live in the real world and these devices are very helpful and productive. By minimizing the amount of time, does that actually help?
Definitely. Well, the easiest way to get someone better is to eliminate the stressor out of their world. So if they have less stressor on them, they're going to age less, slower, all that. And we talked about my
And
wife.
have more energy, right?
Right,
Yeah.
have more energy.
Yeah.
My wife was going through early menopause when we found these products.
Lucky you, I need it right now because it's hot as shit here.
That's menopause.
Right
now.
now we're going
This is a fake menopause studio. Welcome to
are.
Meltzer's
We're in the
Menopause
hot yoga.
here at SoFi Stadium, 95 degrees and rising.
Let's go.
And so anyhow, she was night sweat. She was waking up every night. Menstrual cycle stopped for 3 months, and then we normalized the environment with the grounding bags. Everything, cycle returned. Everything started to feel better for her.
And where do you put the bag? So like in that situation, do you put it in your pillow or?
We put it on the bed and then under the bed. So you can put it on or under one grounding bag. As long as it's touching it, it'll create that coherence. I loaded it up just because I was testing it for that. But our protocols are 5 together will clear 2,000 square feet, 7 if you have solar, 7 if you drive an electric car, because unfortunately sitting on a massive battery, it causes a hormone disruption of 18% lower testosterone.
What about vibroacoustic? Does it do the same thing that a grounding bag would do? having vibroacoustic solutions in your house?
In what way?
So like how you have a sound lounge.
Right. A
And
sound,
so I can
okay.
pick different megahertz, even if I'm not lying on it, I let it play because, like you said, water ripples, so does
Right.
frequency.
Right.
So does that have an impact in the same respect as a grounding bag?
Yes, in a certain way, only for a certain duration.
Okay.
That's the difference. When you're using electricity or sound or light to heal stuff, they're only going to work for a certain duration. And then it's tough
I
to
still love
combat.
it, but I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to combat EMF with that completely. They can get you in a state, but how do we stay there? And that's where I want to lean in on get out in nature, get grounded by nature. That's our nature. That's where we're going to be able to heal, create that coherence in our environment. And then the other part is how do we stay hydrated? How do we reinflate these tires? How does David live to be 111?
Over.
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 111. Over.
It's a long
Exactly.
life.
So
That's
that's
for me.
that's his
I
goal.
love life.
So and the way we do that is to get rid of this epidemic of dehydration of our fascia.
What I just had a guest that talked about deep hydration, like hydration of the cells. Are you familiar with this internal hydration that really creates huge advantages in longevity? That the cells actually hold water. Like a lot of people will drink gallons, but it's not hydrating the cells.
Right.
Are you familiar with that type of hydration, and does this help?
I look at it from the fascial standpoint because the fascia is the
Tell
framework.
people what fascia
Yeah.
means.
That's the soft tissue.
Okay.
But we've been taught that it's just the layers that they cut through to get to the injury, to fix. But it's so much more. It is the intelligence and framework of our body. And I think BJ Palmer will talk about the living collective tissue matrix. And
Wow, BJ
I-
Palmer quote. Love it.
BJ,
Let's
I
go.
do too. I'm a big fan.
Hey, Ira's are my tribe.
Thanks to
Come on
Shawn.
out.
Thanks to Shawn.
So it's really the living collective fascia matrix and an intelligent matrix for our universe. But the fascia is an extension, but it's what we're born in. It's what all the bones are grown in, everything's grown in. And then we can even go out into the ether with it. That's the extension of our biofield that ironically goes out about 6 to 8 feet, is that fascia layer. So when we're looking at hydrating diatomaceous earth, iris sea moss, like literally the silica that's in diatomaceous earth will help rehydrate that fascia. And then we're gonna get you guys on with Human Garage and we'll do some fascia maneuvers after this. But the fascia moves in counter rotation.
Yeah.
Which nobody understands that. So when you can counter rotate the body, get rid of fascial adhesions, we can self-heal literally anything.
And you become a better conduit for energy or
Definitely.
electricity. That's
Definitely.
with hydration and that type of work. You're actually, people don't realize with space and water, you're making up almost all of the universe, especially the human universe is made up of space and water. Both are extremely effective with electricity or power, energy or frequency. And I think we get more people to understand what you truly are, a human antenna that has an input and an output of electricity.
capacitor, essentially.
A capacitor,
Yeah.
correct. And our intelligence, even artificial intelligence, is created by capacitors. And it started with tubes, and we've moved obviously into the silicon chip. But in the end, which is ironic when you said the silicon algae or whatever, I'm like,
Silicon,
this is
All makes
no,
sense.
it makes sense.
We're
It's
mostly
no
silica.
joke.
That's what we're comprised of as well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
So
it's interesting because you were talking about sleep being a mechanism for you to access information, right? When you're in a deep state of flow, you have access at a higher level to the universe to be able to download, essentially. So my question is, do you think then, because there's a lot of people out there that say, well, I get enough sleep. But enough sleep is not the same as true quality sleep, right? I mean, honestly, struggling with sleep my whole life, I would rather have 4 hours of deep quality sleep versus 8 hours of waking up, not sleeping well, not going into REM sleep. So I'm wondering too, if you can't access because you're not getting quality sleep, does that dilute your access point when you are awake too? And how much is that impacting you, engaging as a human on this planet? So how do you help people understand, number one, that they need more help with their sleep? Like, what can they recognize? And then what's the next step?
Well, I feel you get dehydrated throughout the day and then you feel signs of fatigue. So I see clinically that the eyes, the teeth, the thymus, and the intestines get decharged. So they lose their polarity. So people will see it if they get afternoon fatigue, more tired eyes, or if they eat something that just doesn't settle well, but it's something they're comfortable eating. It wasn't bad food. It was just they don't have the polarity. So it's really tough to heal when you don't have the polarity back in your system. So that's kind of the interplay of just look at, did you jump out of bed in the morning? Look at how you feel. And again, to your point, like get out of the meta universe where something's telling you how you feel. And how many steps you took, how well you slept, how good your workout was. Like, we want to get people back into their bodies, connecting above, grounding to nature, and really understanding how they feel.
Can I just add one last question? Because the entire paradigm shift in my life is in this statement, and I think it's applicable to what you do. And it's, I am blank. What am I doing to interfere with it? Does that apply to what you do as far as healing? Does it start with I am, and is it in the process of just identifying what I'm doing to interfere with it?
Yes, it's a great way to look at it.
Justin, you are a wealth of knowledge. We'll definitely have to get you back on more programming where we can get more granular for the people that want to learn about counter rotation, fascia, and all of the elements. Athleticism.com. Pick up a copy of the book, EMFrocks.com.
Not brownies.
Not brownies. Not a brownie bag.
EMFrocks.com.
Not a brownie bag.
I'm super excited to try
bag.
these out because, it makes all the sense in the world.
Why?
To my,
You sleep so well. You fall asleep standing up.
He's going to put in his
I'm
pockets for
excited.
something else.
I'm
He's
excited.
going to ground his pockets.
I've been on a quest to figure this out anyways. You can always sleep better. Thank you so much, Justin, for joining us. We super appreciate
Thanks,
having
Dr.
you.
Shawn. Notice she hasn't let those go.
I know.
She's
doesn't
smart.
get them.
She's
They're
very
mine.
smart. All right, everybody. Make sure you join us again next week. We'll have a brand new episode of the podcast. Make sure that you tune in.